During that time, I did a lot of really fun guest stars on games like the Powerpuff Girls and Johnny Bravo. Powerpuff Girls, I played Robin Schneider.
Don't worry, Professor. It was an accident, too.
Under 18, I'm still in the cutoff. Let's see. At the same time, there was a series, a Spider-Man series that Sony produced for MTV. I played Sally. And I did a movie called Trumpet of the Swan, a lot of like old school stuff. And then when games started kicking into gear, I've been doing voices for Guild Wars 2. I've been recording them for about 6 years now. And I've done, any Guild Wars 2 people in the audience? You? Okay. So it's a wonderful, open, incredible game, an MMO. And I've played lots of different characters. As for the humans, I play Riot Alice, and if you know the game, I'm a Quaggin, and I'm responsible for the following ditty.
Swimming, 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 all summer long. Swimming, 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 it makes your flippers strong.
For which I'm sure all of my singing teachers are just like patting themselves on the back, like, look what we made. That's why she studied for so long. And the Skylanders series, I played Chill,
Stay cool.
and in Final Fantasy world, I play Prish in Dissidia, and I am either sorry or pleased to tell you that I played Chocolina in 13-2 and Lightning Returns. Chocobocolina! The beauty's all mine, but the products can be yours if only you'll show me the money. For something obscure. Game-wise, I don't think a lot of people know that when the last Turtles of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Persuasion came out, the last movie, there's a 3DS game, I play April in the game. But for commercial stuff, because I know you like those examples, for about 2 years I had a price and item radio account, which means I was selling you a lot of grocery items on the radio, and for all across the country, for Albertsons, Cub, Jewel Osco, Acme, and it went like this. Shop at your neighborhood Albertsons through Tuesday for low prices with your preferred savings card. Stop by our produce department. Right now, sweet ripe strawberries, 1-pound packages are 2 for $5.
I remember hearing her doing those, and I was so moved by it. I bought food I was allergic to.
Coleslaw.
Anything else you want to do? Bob, you're up.
And with me?
Yes.
Well, let's see. That's actually how I really talk. For 25 years, I've been doing Porky Pig for Warner Brothers. Does your resume go away from your head when he asks us what we've done?
Yeah, I had to make some notes.
I love it. I did.
I use my
I got you on
LinkedIn.
IMDb if you want.
What's
You want
that?
IMDb?
Dude, I'm thinking, is it rude to go IMDb?
Oh, IMDb.
I have
I think it gets the audience to call out what Bob has done.
Sarah, what have I done in my career?
I've had panelists looking themselves up on IMDb before they get to this.
Seriously.
Hey, you were in Wally.
What's that?
You were in Wally.
You were in
apparently.
Wally?
I was in Wally. Well, thank you. You got my IMDb. Yes. I was in Wally, Up, Monsters, Inc. It's a terrible picture. Hang on.
You were additional voices in Minions and Inside Out.
I just did Minions. It's out. Isn't right now. I was not in Inside Out, but they've got me on IMDb, and I'm going to take any job it gets me.
As long as they send the residuals check, right?
Wait a minute,
You were
how-
on Clarence.
What's that?
You were on Clarence.
I'm on Clarence right now.
I was on Clarence.
I'm Winter Soldier on Marvel's
Assembled.
Avengers Assembled. He doesn't sound a thing like Porky Pig. He's this guy. You know, he's the anti-pig. Yeah, Clone Wars. God love you. Clone Wars. I play Lama Sue in Clone Wars. Who?
Skylanders.
Skylanders. I have no idea where to play. What?
You're.
Oh, I was.
Wind up.
I was wind up at Skylanders. This is my publicist, Missy Lee.
Big fan.
I was No Face in Spirited Away. I did the original Devil May Cure. Oh, I was Lupin the Third in Cagliostro. You didn't have one either. Robot Chicken, I was Luke Skywalker in all 3 of the Robot Chicken Star Wars specials. I was Bucky the Squirrel in The Emperor's New Groove. Patrick Warburton would say squeak, squeak, and squeak, squeak, and Bucky would go, Space Jam, I was Porky Tweety, Marvin the Martian, Speedy Gonzales, but he was cut from the film. I know, whatever. Johnny Bravo, I'm done. I'm quiet.
It just goes back.
Do you have yours up? Oh, and I was on Garfield, but it hasn't aired yet.
No, that's right, yeah. Oh, and tell them about your moments as a game show host.
Oh, I hosted the kids' version of Jeopardy, which is called Jep. It was on Game Show Network. At a time, I didn't even get Game Show Network, so I never really saw it except for YouTube. And I got the job because at my screen test, which was doing an episode of Jeopardy on the set of Jeopardy, one of the clues was famous cartoon characters. And for every clue, it said, he lives in Jellystone Park and he's smarter than the average bear. Who was Yogi Bear? Yeah. And and then it was Porky Pig, and he says, that's all, folks, at the end of the cartoons. And the producers came up to me and they said, you did a great job here, but have you ever thought of doing voiceover? All right, Misty Lee.
I don't want to follow all of that.
You have your yours.
I do have my IMDb because I had to look. See, half the time when we do these jobs, number one, if we're doing a video game, they don't tell us what we're on. Somebody sent me a note and said, I enjoyed you in Resident Evil. I said, I was in that. Somebody else said, oh, hey, I loved you in Call of Duty, and I said, I was in that. Yeah, I mean, like, you just don't know. But I guess some of the things that I do know and have remembered, aside from the things I can't tell you about that I'm really excited about. I do lots of video games. That's why I'm talking about that, because I never know what I'm on. But I was also in Skylanders. I'm Starstrike. Shoot for the stars! That's her. I actually worked with Julie, whether she knows it or not. There's a chick that comes up to the Chocobo chick and says, can you find my friends? That was me. And she turns into a chicken when you find all of her friends.
Show business people.
Typecasting people. And I've done several episodes of Garfield for this wonderful man, who's the reason I'm in the union, because he is a wonderful human being. I have done, yeah, please clap for him. He's so awesome. Cartoon-wise, I was Betty Ross on Hulks and the Agents of Smash. Is Fred here? Where is he? I love you! Fred Tennis sure is Hulk, you guys!
Fred, there's a seat over here. Come over here.
Get up!
Can I mention something? Can I mention something obscure about Fred? Fred is also an ordained minister at the Universal Life Church of Modesto. He got online, and he performed the ceremony for my wife and myself. So Fred married. Which he did as the Hulk, because I asked him to. Smash! You know, that kind of stuff. Anyway, sorry, Misty.
Oh, it's all good. I'm almost done anyway. So I'm Ultimate Spider-Man. I'm Aunt May. It's Squirrel Girl! Squirrel Girl.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
Squirrel Girl. Okay.
Squirrel Girl! And here's something obscure. I was the noise of the clickers in the game The Last of Us, that creepy monster. You're welcome.
Hold on. I just want to let you know that I did not plan to bring Fred up here.
I did.
Pass this down. You spelled it right.
I asked Mark if he was saving a seat for Elijah, and he said something like that.
That was crazy.
Hi, since this is 2015, I'm going to actually do this in stereo because we're modern day.
Fancy.
Hello. Hi, everybody. I gotta say
This is my favorite thing Wally did for, how long did you have your best job?
Oh, 4 years.
For 4 years, every 5 nights a week, you got to hear Wally say,
It's the Tonight Show with Jay Leno!
Jay's a really great guy, you know. You talk about cars, I got it for it. What kind of engine is it? 351 Cleveland? No, that's great. Okay, bring in my shop. I'll put a new shock absorber on it. That's really great.
Greatest guy to work for in the world. I love him. Let's see, as far as animation, welcome, mighty American soldiers! Well, sandwich. Tallest red on Invader Zim. John Arbuckle on the Garfield Show. Hey, Garfield, want some lasagna? Any Bleach fans? Reggie Ibarra from the 13 Court Guard squads to kick your booty. And of course, Arkham Knight just came out. Riddle me this, you shame monkey. Yeah, the financial thing about Sonic Boom just got renewed for a second season, I believe, and Bill Freiberger's here. We're working on that. It's a really amazing show, and I'm Cubot on that one.
Hey, have you seen our boss around? Because I think I got a mustache hair in my joint that I need to return to him.
And we're starting a new web series very soon called Wacky Wally's Vintage Toys about my incredible collection of weird stuff. So I'm going to be calling each and every one of you to be guests on it eventually. My lovely assistants has postcards with all the information on it later, so I'm very excited about that as well. So
I RSVP yes to that party.
yeah.
You could have mine right now as well.
Awesome.
I'll be there.
Well, I know you have a toy collection of your own this way.
Indeed.
The most obscure thing probably I've ever done is if you ever book a flight through formerly U.S. Airways, now American Airlines, and you actually talk to, thank you for calling U.S. Airways. What would you like to do today? I heard you say travel to Boston. Is that correct? It was a 4-year job because you have to virtually say every date, every airport name, every word in the English language about 3 different ways. And it's really fascinating the way they do this stuff. There's 3 ways to say it. There's leading, medial, and final. So you have to say Boston 3 ways. You have to go Boston, Boston, Boston. Where the computer will put it into the sentence. So if the computer says, I see your book today through Boston, Dallas, and Los Angeles. So you see the different musicalities of it that the computer like puts that in. It's really amazing. And
it's called?
What's that?
What do they call it? Just so that, I mean, it's like a voiceover term.
Actually, yes. They actually named it after me, the program. They called it Wally because they would say, do you have the new Wally tracks in? Oh, yeah. So they had t-shirts that like, I love Wally. It wasn't me, it was the program.
It's him.
But it's a 4-year thing, and it's still going into its 5th year. And now I'm redoing a lot of the stuff because now they're American Airlines, and it's really been an educational and informative thing. I've never had anything like it. But it all has to match perfectly because the stuff that you record in June of 2011 has to match the stuff you record in August of 2013, which has to match the stuff you record in May of 2015. So it's all, and you can't ever have a cold. You have to be exactly the same amount from the microphone because once the computer gets it in, it has to sound all like it's being said right there. During the test marketing phase of this whole thing, they were amazed that they were listening in on the line, people using the application. And people were actually saying, oh, okay, thank you. They're actually thanking the computer. So we're on to something here.
Now, Misty also has an interesting voiceover job, and that similar to that. Misty has quite about 12 professions. She has a whole line of cosmetics.
I do.
And perfumes out now.
And they're all
wearing
one
one
of
for
vegan and handmade, and Julie might be wearing it.
I'm wearing
And
crystal
she-
ball right now.
She's also a great magician.
Oh, thank you.
And she has the job, if you ever call this great private club I'm in, the Magic Castle.
Oh, yeah?
She answers the phone.
You've reached the Magic Castle, the most exclusive private club in the world, where history, art, and elegance combine to make miracles.
You call up and you hear Misty tell you to press 1 or 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Almost all the magicians have now learned to talk dirty to the phone.
And you know what the worst part about that job is? Calling to make a dinner reservation and putting myself on hold and hearing how important my call is to me. It's not.
Fred, tell us about stuff.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Did you have to do the 2 different, like, we're sorry, or we're sorry? There's a difference between those two. You know, we're sorry, it's on us. We're sorry, sir, you've gone out too far.
I like the one that they put in, they say, I'm sorry, I didn't get that. And then they do it about 3 times, and then the one that comes out is like, let's try this a different way.
Yeah.
Too much of an idiot to figure out how this whole
You are stupid. Let's try again. Gosh, I play Hulk. I play Beast. And Thing. Sometimes I'm one of the many Ben Grimms out there. Work on Family Guy, and we were on Vader Zim together. That was a big, exciting thing for us. I love that. Garfield, with this man. We've had more fun on Garfield. Gosh, what else? Call of Duty, we were doing a lot of that. They play Nikolai in Call of Duty. Baird on Gears of War. And Zeratul, StarCraft. I have to speak like this, Kerrigan. No, you know. Gosh, what other stuff?
Would someone look Fred up?
I don't know.
Robot Chicken. Fred, you've done Robot Chicken.
What's that? Robot Chicken, yes. Family Guy. Robot Chicken is one of my favorites.
We did the commentary together a few months ago.
Right.
We talked nothing about the show we were doing.
I know.
We were just talking.
We were just talking at the commentary for Robot Chicken. You don't say anything about any sketch that's going on, but all of their Star Trek stuff and some of the Star Wars Rebels stuff I'm working on.
Fred tried to do some American Airlines stuff, but he did it as Samuel L. Jackson, and so they couldn't keep it.
We're going to be flying over here! I don't care if you don't like it. Too many snakes on this thing. The most obscure thing, I guess, is Space Mountain. I'm actually the voice that welcome back, space travelers. Stormtroopers, I'm some of the Wookiees and some of the other aliens. I'm trying to have actually Wookiees speak English. I'm really glad to be here. Anyway, thanks.
Tell them about dubbing movies.
Oh gosh.
Some of the movies you dubbed actors in.
Well, I did have to dub Samuel Jackson for Snakes on a Plane. For obvious reasons. He usually does all his own stuff. I actually got you may have too, I think maybe Chris too, I don't know.
We did the pallbearer.
Yeah.
With more people in this room than people that actually saw the movie that we did. It was the job that got me into SAG, and I did Michael Rappaport for the pallbearer, and he did David Schwimmer.
Oh, that's right.
He does a very good David Schwimmer.
I'm doing Michael Rappaport. I'm waving my hands around and saying nonsensical stuff, you know. You'd have to look him up if you don't know who he is.
And then I see this guy, because I hadn't met Fred, and I see the Hulk basically shamble over to the mic and start speaking like David Schwimmer.
I guess it's okay. But it was weird. Kung Fu Theater did a lot of Kung Fu movies. That was the crazy. Did you guys do that? I thought overdubbing Kung Fu movies is hilarious. That actually really helped for this animation job too. Learning to, lip sync a little bit. I wish we had something. My big one was Gladiator. Actually, that was the big one, trying to avoid. For were you about to die? We salute you. And he sounded. Yeah, it's a fun job.
Good. And let me introduce, sitting down there, Mr. Greg Berger for the
Where's Greg?
I wanted to say, the voice panels we're doing this weekend, we are dedicating to 2 gentlemen we lost in the last few months who were real pros. They were on these panels in the years past, and we all worked with them at one time or another. One of them was one of the nicest men you'd ever meet in your life, Mr. Gary Owens. He's one of the top radio disc jockeys in his field. He was on Rowan and Martin's Laughing. He hosted game shows, and then of course in voiceovers he was Space Ghost, he was Roger Ramjet, he was Powdered Toast Man. We all worked with him at one point or another. Was there a nicer man you ever worked with than Gary Owens?
Mark Evan actually is nicer than Gary.
All right, okay.
Do you remember the year we were on the panel and Gary was late because his car was stolen?
Yeah, I told that story yesterday.
Did you?
On the panel. Yeah, his car was stolen, and he came from the police. He was 2 minutes late. We thought, well, if Gary's late, something is wrong. Especially guys who were on live radio for years. He was on radio for 35, 40 years, something like that. And he was late because his car, he had checked in, I don't have the punchline out of that story yet. He came to the convention, he was staying at the Embassy Suites. He drives in, and I think a Rolls or a Mercedes, whatever he had. Gary owned half of Encino. And he gets out, and then about 5 minutes later, a Hispanic kid comes up to the valet and says, "I'm Gary Owen's son. He'd like his car back." And they give the kid the car, never saw it again. Actually, they found it weeks later with, no tires or something. But you'd think at some point someone's going to say, well, he doesn't look like Gary Owens. Maybe he had his hand over his ear. And so Gary was 2 minutes late.
I'm looking for my car.
Okay, now, here's the punchline I left out yesterday. At that time, Gary Owens was the national spokesman for Embassy Suites. He did all their commercials, and he called the president of the company and said, "My car was stolen." And they made very good on it.
But it was so funny that Gary wasn't frazzled by it at all.
At all.
We'd all be like, no. He was like, well, my car was stolen. No.
And we're all looking at him like,
we have
really?
We thought it was a joke.
Yeah. In a session on the original Garfield show, Gary was the announcer on that show, and we had a session one time, and Frank Welk was in the session, and Gary, and Greg Berger, and Neil Ross, and for no visible reason, we decided to have a Gary Owens sound-alike contest. And everybody did Gary. So we got somebody from another session who was there to come in and be the judge, and Gary came in second. I think Neil Ross beat him out. Gary decided he had to study more. He asked me how to do that thing again. So anyway, Gary was a wonderful gentleman. You should have, the memorial service was amazing. Just funny people, and because he worked with everybody, and they loved him dearly. I got to get to know Fred Willard better so he can speak at my memorial. There's nobody funnier on this planet than Fred Willard. Anyway, the other person we lost a couple months ago was a wonderful man named Stan Freberg. Here's a frightening statistic. Stan Freberg, he had a wonderful career as a recording artist. He did some of the top-selling comedy records ever. He was a producer of the greatest funny commercials ever done. He had a career in motion pictures and TV, but he also was a cartoon voice actor. He did his first job at the age of 18, literally after he just got off the bus in Hollywood and applied for a job and did voices for Warner Brothers cartoons. He was the other guy in a lot of those cartoons, unbilled because Mel Blanc got all the billing. Stan was the other guy in those. And they did two Gophers, Macintosh. One of them was Mel and one of them was Stan. He did his first cartoon in 1945. He did his last cartoon, an episode of Garfield that some of these people were in last year. It's going to air on the Cartoon Network in October this year, a span of 70 years. Anything professionally for 70 years.
And still love it.
And just as funny as ever. And just as great,
Yeah.
And didn't he also invent the terms operators are standing by and but wait, there's more? Am I correct?
I think he did. Stan not only is a person who not only had Grammy Awards, he named the Grammy.
Yeah.
And he was the voice of the voice of the Beaver and Lady and the Tramp. He was the original Cecil the C6 Sea Serpent. Just an amazing man. And if you ever want to hear really good voice work of a cartoon nature, but not meant for cartoons, get a record called Stan Freberg Presents the United States of America, Volume 1. I was really excited. I used to go see that record. I discovered that record when I was 12 years old and played it over and over and over again. I bought it at a record shop on Westwood Boulevard when I was that age, and I would go back. It was Volume 1. I'd go back every week and say, it's Volume 2 of it. It's Volume 2 of it. And it took 35 years for Stan to do Volume 2.
Why did he do it?
And he did, and one day he had me meet him for lunch at Junior's Delicatessen in Westwood, and he asked me, would you co-produce Volume 2 with me? And I suddenly realized that I swear to God, Junior's Delicatessen was built on the site of that record shop where I bought Volume 1. They tore it down and built the Delicatessen. And I went, ooh, and helped him with that record. It was an amazing experience. Incredible man. I have pieces in the program book this year about Gary, about Stan. I don't plug my own writing except when it's about people I love.
And even more important than everything that Stan has done, he was one of the nicest, kindest, most giving human beings you could ever care to meet. And that's like the most important thing. He's a hell of a guy. And so is he.
And both of those guys, too, were the first of their kind in many ways, too.
Absolutely.
You know, for comedians to like, oh, I'm going to create my own work and do this album, this themed album, or, you know, be a newscaster, be the straight guy and saying the craziest stuff ever.
And the stories that these two guys would tell. They said, I remember hanging out with Walt Disney one day. It was one of the most amazing stories. And Stan talked about working on the old Jack Benny radio show.
Yeah.
Jack Benny radio show? What? I mean, a lot of kids don't even know what that is anymore. Do you remember the story you told about working with Jack Benny?
Yeah. I won't be meaningful if I tell it, but he worked with everybody.
Yeah.
He was opening act for Frank Sinatra for a while. I mean, these kind of things. And one Garfield recording session, I had June Foray, who next month, June Foray will be 98 years old. Whoa. I said, I'm telling you, I said, okay, now I have to pick up, we do one scene here. This is June, Stan, and Wally. And Wally goes, remember what you said?
I said, and I didn't hear any of your direction after you said that. I was stuck on hearing my name with those two legends, and I'm like, I just heard my name grouped in with two. Mark, what was your direction again? You lost me after you said Wally. It was the most amazing thing I'll never forget.
I think you turned to me and said, oh my God, I'm Paul Frees.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
Anyway, let's talk about other interesting people we work with, okay? I want to ask each of you to tell me somebody you were really excited that you shared a studio with. You walked in and there, the next microphone is, Chris, you got somebody?
Stan Lee. Yeah, you heard. We were sitting in the green room together and Stan came in. He came without an entourage, and if anyone ever could have had an entourage and not had to explain it, it would be Stan Lee. But he came in on his own. Hey, how you doing? Hey. And he sat down, and it's just me and him in the room, and we're talking. So what do you do? He's like, well, I do voices. I do like different celebrities too sometimes. Oh, really? Can you do me?
Obviously you can.
Yeah, I said, well, Stanley's basically Alan Alda, but even friendlier. And so I just sort of said, I sometimes I like to talk like Stan Lee because I'm very excited about things. And he smiled and went, that's great! So yeah, I figured no matter what happens after this, Stan likes my Stan impression. So I'm not going to push it any farther than that. I don't think I could get more starstruck than that.
Julie?
So for me, when we did the Zeta project, we had a lot of wonderful guest stars, and some of them more obscure than others. For me, a friend of yours, Mark, and someone you guys have worked with was the person for whom I was the most starstruck, and that was Lorraine Newman. Because in my family, growing up, what we loved to do was just look at the 1970s, the SNL skits that were so funny, the Coneheads, and I literally, like, when I saw Lorraine come in, I was like, can you just give me a bloodletting, please? And I was completely starstruck, and she was wonderful, and probably no big deal for you guys. For me, you guys get to work with her, and I just...
That's a conehead.
Yes, she's a conehead! And her head is totally normal in person. Very shocking for me.
Lorraine is amazing. We've had Lorraine on the panel here in the past. She is an amazing talent and terrific.
I'll try not to fangirl all over her if you have her with me for one of your panels. I'll be cooler, I'll pick someone else.
I just saw her in Invaders from Mars, a movie I didn't know she did. She ate raw hamburger. Like, wow. Do you know if she really ate the raw hamburger? Did anybody ever find out?
I've never had lunch with her, I don't know.
I took her to lunch a couple times, I don't recall that. Bob, How about you, amazing Merlin?
I actually have two. One of my last callbacks for Porky Pig was for Chuck Jones. And I never, ever get nervous at auditions. I just don't want to get in between getting the job, and it's just not worth it. But I went up to shake his hand, and I'm like this. And he had a very soft-spoken voice. He's like, "Why are you shaking so much?" And I said, "I'm about to do Porky Pig for Chuck Jones. It's like doing Jesus for God." Which broke the ice, and I had a lot of fun. And by the way, he didn't like me because he said I was in my early 20s at the time, and he said he thought I was too young to really understand the depth of this character. Unfortunately, he didn't have a final say from the studio as to who got the job, but it was cool to be able to do the character in front of him. And then the other one was last year. I got to work with Paul McCartney. Which was really fun when you know, at the studio, the introduction was like, Porky Pig, Beetle, Beetle, Porky Pig. It was pretty surreal. It was for a film that he's written, and I'm not sure what's happened with it, but we did a day's work. I did a pygmy hippopotamus. And I got hired because the guy that produced it also produced an animated Bucky the Squirrel. And so they said, we want something like Bucky, but pygmy and a hippo. So he was in front of a beetle. So
Schwarzenegger in Traffic, actually.
It's a left turn lane!
Somebody had to do it.
Nobody had to do that. I'm sorry. Twice. The first one was Rosemary from the Dick Van Dyke Show, and that was all you. Yeah, it was like, and I was sitting between her and June Foray. No big deal! Oh my God. And then the other one, I think all of you on this panel have probably worked with. The day that was brought into the union, it was across the room from Frank Welker. And he is so nice and so giving, and there's a reason that he's lasted in this industry for so long, because you can't be a jerk because the word gets around. And he just looked at me after my first line, and I was so nervous, and he went, because he knew how scared to death I was, and he's been doing this so long, it's just no big deal. And he told me after, he said, eventually this will be no big deal to you. It's still a big deal to me. It may not be a big deal to him, but it is. And he was just so nice and warm and loving and fantastic. And again, there's a reason that he's still in it, and he earned that Star Strike. Because it was just like, oh my gosh. And then you find out, you know, they always say, sometimes they say, never meet your heroes. If you can meet Frank Welker, do it, because he's rad and he owns it. And I mean, it's just like, he is worthy of your praise. It's a good day.
Misty, is this session now about the Garfield session?
It was a Garfield session, yes.
He came over to me afterwards and he said, hey, she's real good.
Aww.
And Frank would not have said that if he didn't mean it.
And I got to try Stan Freberg home that day.
That's right. Okay, Wally, who are you?
Well, I'd just like to say on behalf of John and George and Ringo that it was nice working with Bob Bergen. Working with his pygmy squirrel or whatever it was. It was small pygmy squirrel, whatever. It was great, it was fab, it was rad.
Frank Welker, so you stole my thunder, but that's fine. I had a backup. The great Mark Hamill. We're working on Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. He came in to do a scene with me as Ant-Man. He was Claw, and he's sitting there, and I'm looking at the other guys who are also nerd boys like me, and we were out of Mark's eye line, and we're like going, and when he wasn't looking, we would do that. Then he looked back like, and now we're good friends on the email because we both share a love for the '66 Batman series, and it came out on DVD, and we were.
Can I be on that email? I really enjoy that as well.
Batman series?
Yeah.
It's genius. Adam West is one of the unsung comedic geniuses of my generation.
Robin loves it so much, she actually has in his house
Adam West, life-size action figure, about 6'2", along with a talking Robin.
That's not all.
I said, oh, the Shakespeare head. I have a bat cave in my house. I have batarangs, all kinds of things. Come over. It's all going to be on Wacky Wally's Vintage Toys on my new web series, so check it out.
Yes.
I do all the time. Yeah, come on over. Come by and see the collection. So Mark is talking about how excited he is that it's coming out on Blu-ray, and I'm emailing back because he's in London working on Star Wars, and he's the Joker, I'm the Riddler, and we're like both excited about Batman. He's like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm like, yes, it is. Yeah. So he's talking about the price. I hope he doesn't mind me telling the story, but it's hilarious. He's talking about the price of the Batman DVD set being so high. It's like $189 when it was first coming out. He's like, well, do you think if I waited a while on Amazon, it might go down? Because the Get Smart series, you know, went down to like $50 about 6 months afterwards. And I'm thinking, no, they have a price guarantee on Amazon. You're okay. Hey, wait a minute. Aren't you freaking Luke Skywalker? What do you care about $30? Buy the damn thing.
That's how he keeps his money.
That was hilarious. So we're you know, now we watch episodes and email each other. Did you see the Mad Hatter? First Mad Hatter was genius. Yeah, Art Carney is one of my favorite actors, but he was a little lame as the Archer. So anyway, so he's a nerd boy like the rest of us, and he just does not get Star Wars. But working with him and watching him work was unbelievable, and also on the Garfield show as well.
Yeah, Mark Hamill is an astounding voice actor. He's so good, and you do have to go through that period when you first meet him because of our generation. It turns into the Chris Farley show. You're like, hey, remember Star Wars? Did that happen? Or, you have to get through that and you realize what an amazing artist. And he's one of them. Adam West, too, is another one on Family Guy. You know, if he leaves like a pen or a cap in there and you return it to him, he's like, thank you, Crime Stopper. So
it's better to be 30 minutes early than 10 seconds late.
That's how he rides, you know? Like, gosh, so you mentioned Frank. Well, Phil Proctor from the Firesign Theater, that was huge. You're talking about Gary Owens and Freeberg. Even Henry Rollins is amazing. Chuck McCann. Big one for me was Tim Conway. And just didn't have me in stitches. Big one, another one, Carl Reiner. I got to meet him on Cleveland show. I was acting against, you know, Carl Reiner, you know, with all the Mel Brooks stuff he'd done and all the things. And I just said, I'm such a big fan of your work. And he goes, well, you're the one.
Well, let's show you what these people do. Yeah, another little reading now. The script is never read or seen ever before. This script was written last week. I took a very dull radio script for a fairy tale and cut it down to 100 lines. And in 100 lines, we're going to attempt to do the entirety of The Wizard of Oz.
Oh my God.
Now, I'm going to assign the roles. Keep in mind, they have never seen this before, and I'm going to. There will be some direction before we start. Chris, you are going to. Let me explain that we're going to do this since we can't go back and forth between black and white and color. We're going to have two narrators. We're going to do the black and white sequences, the sequences in Kansas, straight, like a real serious, dramatic show.
Okay.
And we'll have one narrator for that. And then when we get into Oz, when we're in color, you have to follow the dialogue on the Kansas sequences, and you can do whatever you want with the dialogue on the Oz sequences.
Yeah!
A different narrator for those. And Chris, you're going to be the Oz narrator.
Oh, for crying out loud.
And I will give you every line of dialogue in a different celebrity impression.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Julie, congratulations, you're Dorothy.
All right.
All right. And you don't have to stick to the same voice. Once we get to Oz, you can change Dorothy's voice anytime you feel like.
Okay, confused Dorothy.
You're
Got
the
it.
narrator of the Kansas sequences, and you are the Tin Man.
Okay.
Misty, are you a good witch or a bad witch?
I'm both.
Right. You're also MPM and the Munchkin Woman. Everybody's going to be a Munchkin at various times.
Okay.
And you're going to have to talk to yourself.
I can't wait for this.
Wally, you are the Scarecrow. Okay.
I don't know, but some people without brains do an awful lot of talking.
Yeah!
Face a whole box full of the chance of getting some brains.
My favorite movie of all time.
Also, Uncle Henry and the Munchkin Mayor. And Fred, you are the Cowardly Lion. Wizard of Oz.
Oh, wow.
And you are Toto. Now, while we are giving these people not enough time to mark their scripts, I'm going to do my little commercial here. Some of you know what I'm going to say. I have a pet peeve about the cartoon voice business. There are some wonderful voice coaches and tutors around. Greg Berger is one of them. Bob has an incredibly wonderful class. And there are also some people who should not be teaching and who I think are kind of predatory, finding kids who want to be in the business and who don't tell them you're not ready yet for real lessons, you're not ready to make a demo. And they take a lot of money from these people. I've seen a couple of cases lately where it sounded to me almost criminal, the amount of money that was extracted from kids who should have been turned away or told to come back another time or not charged that much. We do a panel later today. It's at 3 o'clock in room 25 ABC. It's called The Business of Cartoon Voices. It is not for entertainment, it is for facts. If you have an interest in being in the voiceover business, this is the panel you want to hear. You will get for free, you will get what some coaches charge thousands of dollars to teach you in terms of the cold hard facts of the business. And we'll have some agents and people. We're going to have two of our voice panelists, Bob Bergen and Misty Lee, are going to be on this panel. Misty used to come to the panel and watch it and take notes.
I did?
Years ago, before she
Yes.
was in the industry. And I got here to talk to us about the business. I think one of the best voiceover agents in the business, and he's in the audience now, I'm going to make him take a bow. He is the agent, one of the top voiceover agencies is CESD. He is the D of that business. He represents on this panel Wally and Fred and Julie and Chris. Used to represent
He's used to represent me.
Yeah, and he represents Greg Berger, and he represents Frank Welker and Neil Ross.
That man makes a lot of money.
And I'd like you to say hello to Mr. Paul Doherty, who is sitting the operation, and the heavy lifting is done by Miss Kathy Lizio. Kathy? Please do me a favor at the panel or even here, if you are interested in voiceover business, please don't give these people your demo or your business cards. I want them to please feel free to come here without being, this is their vacations. Don't bother them on their vacations.
Give it all to Fred.
Yes. Fred will take it. All right, have you all not marked your scripts yet?
Oh, we're getting there.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're getting there.
Give you one more minute here. Anyway, that panel is in 25 ABC. It's a 90-minute panel. It is not long enough because we've been talking fast, and that's at 3 o'clock today. And if you're interested, and you will hear some things about the business that you don't want to hear, but you should know. We have to disillusion a few people along the way so they are in touch with the reality of the industry. All right, we're going to start, whether you like it or not.
Right. All right.
Holy.
We're all munchkins?
You will all be munchkins.
Okay.
Also, when we come to the flying monkeys, you'll all be flying monkeys.
Well, what are you going to do for the flying monkey?
Anyway, and other things we've come to along the way. All right? We're going to start in Kansas now. For this part, we're in Kansas. We're going to do this like a real, dramatic, serious reading, and you're going to actually follow the words. Once we get to Oz, you can do whatever you want. All right? Mr. Bergen, I believe you have the opening line. Give us a very serious narrative. And by the way, at any point in Oz, if you want to change the voice you're doing, just go ahead and change it.
Why not? Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Dorothy who lived in a farm in Kansas with her Uncle Henry, her Auntie Em, and a little dog called Toto. One day, Dorothy was outside with Toto when her aunt and uncle called to her.
Dorothy, stop playing with that dog and get inside. A tornado's coming.
Oh, Toto, look at those black clouds.
I have lost control of the entire
Hurry, Dorothy! Get just left your uncle and me.
But Toto ran away and Dorothy chased after him.
Toto, you strange dog. I've never heard you speak like that before. Come back here.
Alas, Dorothy and Toto didn't get into the basement in time. They had to take refuge in a small house on the property, which they did just before the tornado struck and ripped the house off its foundation. Thank you, Dorothy.
You're welcome. It said shriek, and I took it seriously.
The tornado carried the little house high into the sky and up over the rainbow, coming to a rest in another world. And on top of a wicked witch.
Oh, Toto, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore.
That was original, Dorothy.
Now I gotta scratch that one off my list.
It is ComicCon after all. Nobody's in Kansas here.
She and her dog stepped out into a beautiful, colorful world where they were greeted by little people as far as the eye could see.
You need some new shoes.
Just something in red, glittery.
Who are all of you?
We are the Munchkins. And we'd like to thank you very much. Dropped a house on the Wicked Witch of the West.
No, it's the East.
Sorry. Tell me how to read it. I'm James Bond.
And girl, you kill her and you kill her dead.
We're very excited. You've made the Munchkins very happy, my dear. Welcome. I am the good witch of the north.
You guys are like so weird here. My name is Dorothy, and this is my dog. His name is Toads Toto.
Nice to meet you.
Oh my god. Okay, well, if you're talking like this, then we'll do that. Dorothy, for destroying the Wicked Witch of the East, I award you all that is left of her ruby slippers!
Are they Louboutins?
All right. And the good witch waved her wand, and magically, the glistening red slippers appeared on Dorothy's feet. I have a pair just like that.
Apparently, I'm the only one reading the script.
I'm sorry.
Suddenly, bolts of lightning and a chill filled the skies there, and a figure in black descended from above.
Who killed my sister? Was it you? Give me her ruby slippers! Oh, don't do it, Dorothy. Their magic must be very powerful. She wouldn't want them. Be gone with you, Wicked Witch of the West. Your evil magic won't work here in Munchkin Land. Now go away before someone drops a house on you. Dorothy, huh? I'll get you and your little dog, too.
And with that, she and her broom took to the sky.
That wasn't the sky.
That's where I belong.
Lucky me.
Please be aware that many members of your audience may be under 18 years old.
want to go home. How do I do that?
Well, honey, only the wizard would know how to do that.
Oh, sure, yeah, the wizard. I'm sorry, I'm like not from around here and stuff, so how do I find the wizard?
Well, after you visited my suite, you follow the yellow brick road. Suite number 1642.
And so, the good witch disappeared. Dorothy and the dog set out to follow the yellow brick road. After a while, they were walking. After a while, they were ambling through a cornfield when they heard someone talking.
I need a brain, baby, very badly. Yeah, baby!
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Did you say that you need a brain?
Yes, I did, baby. I have but only straw in my head. And in my arms and legs and everywhere, except, you know where. I'm all man, baby, yeah!
Sorry, but that doesn't make any sense. We don't have anything like that in Kansas. How is it that you're able to talk?
I don't know, baby. I don't have a brain, remember?
I really believe that you should see someone for that. I am on my way to see a wise and powerful wizard, so if you just come along with me, perhaps he will give you a brain.
So, Dorothy, Toto, and the Scarecrow, they just kept on walking. After a while, they saw a Tin Man. He was just beside the road for some reason. Didn't even have a heart. I know somebody like that.
Excuse me, oil can? Can we talk? Oil can?
I think he's trying to say that he wants some oil. I've got some baby oil in my satchel. I'll be right back. I've got a better idea, baby. How about you pick up that can right there? It's very groovy.
Oh, where do you want me to put the oil?
Everywhere.
I'm never going back to Kansas now.
Joe and Dorothy oiled him up, and before long, he could talk and move again.
Oh, thank you. But what good is it to be able to talk and move when I lack the most important thing in my life? Do you know what that is? Do you know what that is? Do you know?
A brain?
No. It's a heart. There's nothing in here. Nothing. Zero. Nada. Zipperoonie. That isn't it?
Come with us. We are going to ask the great wizard to make our wishes come true. Okay?
And so the Tin Man joined their little band, and off they headed down the yellow brick road until they ran into a lion.
That is very scary to me.
Actually, it was a very cowardly lion.
Keep that dog away from me!
He is not an
Oh, I wouldn't worry about him. He's just a big sissy.
Don't hurt me, please. I'm not a bad guy. I'm just afraid of, well, everything. When sometimes I scare myself. Listen, come over here. I may know someone who may be able to help you. I don't know why, but this is the accent that's coming out right now. Go with it.
The Cowardly Lion joined the trio as they headed for the Emerald City. On the way, they ran into all sorts of dangers like flying monkeys.
Hey, with the monkeys.
And a field full of hypnotic poppies.
Poppies.
And even a few scary encounters with the Wicked Witch of the West.
Finally, though, they made it to the Emerald City, and soon they were in the presence of the almighty wizard.
Welcome, foolish mortals. Who seeks the audience with the great and powerful Oz?
Yeah, well, we do, sir. Yeah, but we were able to have a conversation.
No one slavers of the great and powerful Oz. Pyrotechnics.
I'm terribly sorry.
But I will consider your request if you bring me the broom of the Wicked Witch of the West.
I'm sorry, I just want to understand. But to get it, I believe we'll have to kill her. I'm very much pacifist.
I have spoken! Play the thing. Let me play the...
Pyrotechnics.
Now here's where it gets kind of kooky, boys and girls. Yeah, they had no choice but to travel to the castle of the Wicked Witch, and before they knew it, they were face to face with her.
I'll show you. Starting with you, Scarecrow. How about a little fire? Ooh, I call Wicked Witch in the West. You did. Little witch. Ooh, she set him on fire. Stop so quickly.
Hey, quick, Dorothy. Why did you get that bucket of water?
Dorothy hurled the water onto the Scarecrow. It put out the fire, but a lot of it got onto the Wicked Witch, and I wasn't anywhere near.
It was. Especially because now the whole room is going blurry. Too soon?
I'd like to say thank you for my final appearance at...
So she's wet? Is that where we left off? The witch is getting wet?
We welcome you.
Magic isn't real.
You thought you lost it before, Mark.
Where were you?
Line 85. Line 85.
The witches, the witches, he killed it, but that's all, witch.
Wicked Witch.
An act of true courage like the one I wish I had.
Back they went to the castle, where they soon found out that the great and powerful Oz was not all that great or that powerful.
You're just happy it's not Cosby.
It's all right. No, I'm just a travelling salesman who made a wrong turn and wound up here. I'm sorry. I don't have any real magical powers.
I think that was her line, actually.
Can we get her a translator?
It was then that the good witch suddenly appeared.
Wait. I'm sorry, but like I do.
You've had it all along. Just click your heels 3 times and make your wish.
Oh my god, that will totally scuff my shoes.
Do it, Dorothy! I'll make sure your friends here get brains and a heart and whatever else they want. And leave me alone!
Dorothy clicked her heels 3 times, and before she knew it,
She was waking up with 2 familiar faces before her.
That one and this one.
Auntie Em, Uncle Henry. Seriously, where am I?
You're home, dear. Safe in your own little bed right here in Canada.
Oh, it's so good to see the line that I completely forgot to mark.
It's so good to be back.
It's so good to be back.
There's no place like home.
I've got it now.
There's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like 6A ComicCon.
No, I got nothing. All right. We got a few more minutes here, folks. Thank you for a lovely reading of this script. The secret to good voice directing, the only thing I know about it is you cast the right people and then you leave them alone. If you have to give the actors much direction, you cast the wrong people, and if you cast the wrong people, you're not a very good director. So I just shut up most of the time, and they do wonderful work.
But here's the deal. This is, I'm not joking, this is kind of the way we work with Mark, because we don't get the scripts beforehand. We walk into the studio and they're warm. Why are they warm? Because you just wrote them and you just printed them.
Yeah.
And so we don't get a lot of time. We don't get any time. Here's your
No,
scripts.
I actually, on the Garfield show, I cast the shows on Friday, and we record on Monday and Tuesday, so we cast the shows on Friday and write them Saturday and Sunday. And then hope they fit the actors that I'd already booked. And one time I was writing on like a Saturday afternoon, and I suddenly realized I didn't hire enough women for the roles I was writing. So I went on Facebook, and Lorraine Newman was online, and I pulled her in the chat and said, "What are you doing Monday and Tuesday?" And I booked her online on Facebook.
So Zuckerberg gets 10% of that, right?
He gets 10% of everything.
It's only fair.
Cast, would somebody here like to tell a story about the voice session from hell when you went home with no voice left whatsoever from having screamed and doing hundreds of lines?
Creatures?
I was going to say, it's called Monday.
Yeah.
We work on a lot of video games and movies and lose our voices. It's terrible. No, actually, one does come to mind. I was working on a Hulk film, and we had to, and Ed Norton was an amazing director. He actually was awesome on it, and he really saved our voices on it. But there was a moment where they need so much for film. They need to like over-record, because they don't know what they're going to use. They're going to use bits and pieces. And so the audio director said, "Can you do a yell that goes, And that's good at like half speed. And I made the mistake of doing like a kind of a big yoga breath, you know, just in and just do the whole standing up. And then all of a sudden things went dark. And I'm standing and I hear someone say, "Sit down, Fred!" And that's the last thing you want to do because you think you're going to just die. And it reminded me of all the movies you saw like in the 60s and 70s of a bad drug trip. It was like everything went, sit down, you know, and I was like, no, I'm standing. And I got, the blood came back, and I said, please can we replay just that? Because what I did was I yelled and I went, whoa. I said, please, can I see what that is? And it's hilarious because it's like, whoa. And I said, please use it in the movie somewhere. And there's a scene where Hulk hits his head on the cave wall and he goes, whoa. It was kind of a good thing in the end.
I actually did a video game once. For a couple of years, I was Viggo Mortensen for the Lord of the Rings video game, starting with Return of the King. And a lot of it was, it's hard enough yelling as yourself on a video game, but when you have to yell as a celebrity, it somehow robs you of about 50% of your capacity, somehow. And
Viggo has a very pinched voice when he yells!
so you're doing that, right? And then they brought me in for another version of the game where I was just getting to yell as myself, but it was one of those war games where you die every single time you have a line. And in the Lord of the Rings world, those are some pretty horrific ways to die. All right, you're getting shot by a flaming arrow, 3 in a row, go. You're being eaten by an Oliphant, 3 in a row, go. And after, it was only a 2-hour session, but after 1 hour, my head was going, and my throat was just, and I just told myself, I'm gonna go buy myself something nice. This is an easier job than any job most anyone will ever have, but this is one of those days where it's kind of hard, and I went to like Z Gallery, the 3rd Street Promenade in LA, and I bought a cheesy painting. It's just of a landscape that's probably in 1 million homes, but people walk by and they go, that's my Lord of the Rings painting. So yeah, sometimes you have to treat yourself after your voice in your head explode.
When you go into the Warner video game studio, there's a curious looking jar with some Asian writing on it. And I'm like, what the heck is that? Oh, that's Fred juice.
Fred juice!
Fred juice. Tell them about Fred juice.
Yeah.
It's Nimjong Pepakoa. There's no other name for it. And it's just a honey loquat juice that really, it's really like a honey syrup that really helps.
But you look like a pharmacy. When you're working, you got all kinds of fun stuff set up.
Yeah.
Spritzes and sprays and drinks.
Yeah, you gotta warm up and you gotta warm down. If you guys are really into heavy vocal stunts, and everyone on here has done them, it's like rosining the bow. You know, some are to heal your voice, some are to actually like rosin it up and make sure you don't rub those chords too hard so you can keep them for the next day. Entertainer's Secret, there's a bunch that are really good. Singer Saving Grace. But that Chinese one is hilarious because people look at it and go, I mean, Nolan North was terrified. He's like, what, you got stuff with Chinese lettering on it. What's that? You know, and it works really well. So if you go, and also if you have a cold or whatever. But,
we all come up
it's not
with
Fred
our
juice. It's
Chris, we don't have a good painting here to give you, but would you give us one demonstration of being killed by a flaming arrow?
Anyone have a bow?
Yeah, Fred's got one. Fred's got it.
Okay, do you want it to be a short death or a long death?
The longest death you'll give us.
All right, I'll give you that.
Hold on, wait. We've got 7 more minutes.
6 minutes and 50 seconds of those are yours, baby.
Okay, so it's going to be the impact, followed by the realization that he's burning alive, and then the death rattle at the end.
Yeah.
You get a little off mic for this.
Don't leave yet, ladies. This is the big scene.
But this is my big scene, girls.
If you wait in the hallway, he'll do it again.
Take it out.
up there, didn't I?
Julie, what have you had to do that strained your tonsils?
Strain my tonsils. As you can tell, I'm a very demonic person. So occasionally I will have to do sort of a demon voice, and for Shadows of the Damned, I played a pretty nasty demon. And I just remember I was so excited by what I was doing, and it's so fun for me to play again against bubbly type, that I forgot, actually, like, to protect myself and to pick a voice that I could really sustain, which is such a rookie mistake, I'm sorry to say. But I was just like, you will die! Die! Like, for 4 hours. And at the end of this, I mean, I made it through the session, but after all of that, I came home and I was like, hey, I think I have to get some Fred juice.
Anybody else have a similar experience? Wally?
Yeah, there's a thing that we used to do. This wasn't so much a strain on my voice. I'm gonna back up because this is messy. But they needed. They were really descript in the type of death that it was. It was the kind of thing where they wanted to actually hear the blood entering your vocal cavity, so you basically suffocate on your own blood. Yeah. So I do this. I hope I don't ruin this mic and have to pay for it. Can you buy it, Wally? So here's a death scream with the blood entering your vocal.
Shows a night anymore, baby.
That's why they pay him the big bucks.
As he sits there with his beard dripping.
The first time I did that, the horrified look on the engineer on the other side of the glass was like... Not because he cared an nth about me at all, it was all the... Oh, these ComicCon people are good!
She just went through DNA.
Oh, I'm sure she's had it by now. Fingernail trimmings in the back. 18, please, under it. I'd be happy.
Anyone else got a video game horror story?
It wasn't a video game, but it was a movie called Fright Night 2 a long time ago. I did the voice of all the vampires dying. They auditioned us, and I luckily got the job. And I didn't know that many vampires in that many ways were going to die, and they wanted them to sound like they were burning up and screaming and falling from things, and a day of that, I lost my voice for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, I've done that.
Teeny sample?
That's an expensive sample.
Just lose your voice for 3 days.
Appearance, website, or signing they would like to mention to this audience?
Start with Fred. What are you doing next?
I'm just going to be on the floor seeing all the great artwork, actually. I'm excited about that.
No, with enough Fred juice, he really will be literally on the floor. You don't know what's in this stuff, folks. It's wild!
It's all in his beard.
Anybody got a website they want to give out? A Twitter handle?
Oh my God, we're all at each other. Are you at Misty Lee?
I'm Misty_Lee.
All right,
Here.
we go. I am at Bob Bergen on Twitter and Facebook. You'll find me. And I'm going to be at the Hollywood Bowl, August 14th and 15th.
I'm going to be there too to watch you.
I love you to death.
I love you
It's
too.
Bugs Bunny at the Symphony, where they play the old Looney Tunes with a live orchestra, and I'm going to be on stage doing a tribute to Mel Blanc.
Also, I did forget. Check out that voiceover. I'm sorry, I did forget that voiceover improv thing, and all you guys are invited to be on it. It's a podcast we do, and it's all just voice actors doing improv. And so
oh my God,
please check that out too. It's online.
that.
Voiceover improv thing. Sorry,
Julie.
You can follow me on Twitter, where I can tell you all the things as they are revealed that I wish I could tell you right now. A couple of really cool animation things going on, and so I'm at Julie_Nathanson. Take no imposters. Yeah, it might be number 9 is coming out sometime soon, and I'm excited about that one.